What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm not doing anything special with the car. I'm just going to focus on fixing some of the things that aren't exactly right. I've done a lot to this car and not everything turned out perfect. So it's just a few easy things. It shouldn't take too long to fix, but that's what I'm going to do. So stay tuned. So there are three main things that I'm going to focus on fixing in this video. The first one, starting off, is going to be these ramps. So if you saw my last video, I built these ramps so that the front end of the car would not scrape the end of the driveway. The problem that I ran into is the side that goes onto the street is cut on the wrong side, or at not necessarily the wrong angle. I don't even know how to explain it, to be honest with you. So it's, instead of it being cut diagonally like this, it needed to be cut like this. So that instead of me having to back up, or when I'm coming forward, have to push this side down to drive up onto it, it needs to be inclined so that I can just, go right up on it. So I'm going to try to take the hinges off, and even though I glued these things down, I'm going to see if I can pry them back up. If I can't, I may have to go get another piece and, just redo that side over there for both pieces. But I am going to try to fix that on the ramps. The second thing that I'm going to try to work on is, let me step back here. Yes, you can tell. So if you see, the front splitter angles down like this. And the reason why it does that is when I bought this car, it came like this. But the front bumper right there is, it hit somebody else before I got the car, whoever had it before me, hit something, and it actually bent all that down. So even though the splitter is screwed up into that piece is still pushed down. And so you can't really tell unless you're actually standing back and basically at a decline, like straight down like this. I mean, looking at it just from like this, it's not a big difference, but I know that it's there and it bugs me. So I'm going to try to actually cut around that bottom piece of the bumper. And I don't know if I'm going to plastic weld something in there or just try to maybe screw it into the splash guard that's behind it. But that's the second thing that I'm going to be working on. The last thing that I'm going to be doing is working on these stripes. So I showed you this in the video that I actually did the stripes on, but you can see there's some jagged edges. It didn't cut well, and it's been bugging me. And this piece is really easy to actually lay down. So I'm going to be fixing this piece. I'm going to start with the ramps. I'm going to go ahead and take the hinges out. I'm going to take all the screws out and see if I can't pop the 2x4s off that are glued on underneath and get these things the way that they need to be. So my original plan did not work out. I wanted to take the hinges off. I wanted to be able to take all the screws out and pull all the planks, all the 2x4 planks off of the plywood, and then flip it over and then basically redo it. But that glue is held on like no other. There's no way I'm going to get these boards off without breaking them. So it is what it is. I don't want to have to go back and spend a bunch of money and then have to redo it all. So what I did is just left it flipped over. My hinges are going to connect onto the pieces right there, just like they are. So it's going to work the exact same way. It's just not going to be as pretty as it was originally. So what I've got here is the leftover wedges from when I cut it off of the original pieces. So it's just these little pieces, just like this. So I've got one on either side. And then in the center here, what I did is I actually took two of the wedges like this and like that. Actually like that, and just put them together. So I got those glued together, and then I glued them down to the board, and then right there is just an extra little piece that I had cut off of the end. So I actually have plenty to do both ramps. So once this dries, I'll put screws in from the other side and it'll be good to go. And then I'll just have to reattach my hinges there. So I'm like, again, it's not the prettiest and it kind of sucks, but you know, I want this to be able to, I want to be able to use these a little bit better. And with the way that it was just annoying having to hit that thing and you could feel the ramp being pushed down. So I have a feeling this is going to work much better. So I'm going to go do the other one, get it all set to go. And then I'm going to start working on this front bumper while this glue dries. I got both ramps done, the glue's drying. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the car up on the ramps and start figuring out how I'm going to do this front bumper. I got the car up on the ramps, so you can kind of see a little bit better what I'm talking about here. So this is the good side. This is the side that has no issues on it over there, nice and flat. And then you can see how that bumper is just flexed down just a little bit there. Believe it or not, I mean, it's quite a bit. It doesn't look like it's that much, but it actually is quite a bit. Not only that, I don't even know that the car would scrape the driveway if it wasn't like this. I think this is the only side that's actually doing it, and it's because of that piece right there. So I'm gonna cut, my plan of action right now is just to cut the bottom of the bumper out, just that one little piece. I've got some black pieces of plastic that I can actually use some plastic JB Weld to put back in there. I don't know if I'm gonna do it like that yet. I'm just gonna kind of take this one as it goes and see how things work out. But that's what I'm gonna do right now. And so let's get started. I removed the splitter, I compared to the other side and just kind of figured out where all of the like low points are at, like what's supposed to be, you know, rounded off and what's not. So I've got my little outline here of where I need to cut. Everything past this point forward looks to be pretty normal. It's just this part back here. And if I give it at this angle, I mean, you can clearly see how all of that's bent down. Everything past that line should be flat and straight. So I'm gonna cut that out. I've got some other pieces, like I said, that I may plastic weld, you know, with some JB plastic weld back in here. But I may end up just putting a screw through the splash guard there, but we'll see. So I'm gonna go cut this out and then I will go from there. So I got my piece cut out, and lucky for me, the splash guard still goes all the way forward. It's right here, so I'm not even going to worry about putting anything back right here. I'm simply going to take my self-tapping screw and just put it through the splash guard here. I already have one hole back here. I've got one on the other side as well, so this should be able to mount straight through that, and it'll pull it flush with this bumper. Front bumper is done. Come down here and look. It is even and flat now. So one thing to note is I did have to use a longer self-tapping screw. The one that it came with was just too short. It kept pushing the splash guard up and it would never actually bite in. But I did have a longer one laying around, so that worked perfect. The ramps over here, they've been drying for about an hour and a half. They're not completely dry, but they should be dry enough for me to go ahead and drill some holes and put some screws in there. And then tomorrow I will get started on the stripes. All right, guys, the ramps are finished. It took me quite a while. It's dark outside. It wasn't hard. It was just very time consuming with all the drilling and putting all the screws in. But this is what they will look like folded up. I actually like this better. It just looks like they're stacked on top of each other. And then this one over here is obviously what it'll look like when it is folded out. So it's not as pretty as it was before with the plywood being on top, but you know, it saves me money from not having to go back and just rebuild this side over here. Hopefully it works out really well. So again, it's dark outside, so I'm not gonna test them out tonight. I will show you guys in the morning. So I have my ramp set up. If you watched my last video of me actually making the ramps, you would have seen them set up the exact same way. But instead of it having the slope on the same on both sides, you can see. So now I'll come off of it or come onto the ramps just like this, and then I'll have a slope to go down off of, and then also when backing up too. So let's go test these things out. Just so you guys can see, I moved the ramps out of the way and then just tried backing the car up a little bit, and you can see that it drags right on it. So the ramps are necessary. You know, I was wondering if it was actually going to still scrape after I had fixed the bumper up front, but it does. So ramps are good, and I will get working on these stripes now. If you didn't see my stripes video, I'll put a link in the description, but it's a pretty simple concept. So I'm going to peel all this up. I'll lay some masking tape down next to my black stripe and then measure over a little more than 5 inches. And then I will put another strip of masking tape. I'll put my knifeless tape on either sides of the masking, lay down my vinyl, and then peel everything up. I'm doing this piece a little bit differently than what I did the first time. So everything is pretty much the same. I've got my knifeless on either side of the masking, but instead of cutting this edge with my X-Acto knife like I did the first time, I went ahead and laid a piece of the knifeless here. It wouldn't stick to this rubberized material right here very well, but I've got it pressed on there pretty good, so it should stay. So I'm gonna lay my vinyl over the top. I will strip the knifeless on either side of the masking first, and then I will do the edge right here. The top part is fixed. It was actually really easy. I've gotten pretty comfortable with using this vinyl and the knifeless tape, but man, it worked out perfect. I mean, it is seamless. Not only that, I actually went to go cut the front piece with my scissors, and I was like, you know what, screw this. And I went ahead and just laid another piece of knifeless down right here, cut it, and I mean, it makes the lines perfect there. So top's done. There is one other part on these stripes that I'm gonna fix, and it is this back hatch back here. You can see how this side gets all wavy over here. It's a little bit wavy down here at the bottom. This back hatch was such a pain in the butt when I did it, and I think I explained that in the video when I actually did the stripes, but I didn't explain exactly why it was so hard. But this deep crevice is just, it's super hard to get this to stretch into there and then everything to flow smoothly around here. And I know exactly why this did this here and here, but I'm going to be explaining that in the next video. I'm going to be doing just a video on how to do this, how to lay these vinyl stripes into these deep crevices here. So stay tuned for that, and I will catch you guys next time.